Good day, listeners. Welcome to another program of Unlock Your Potential. I am Christina Suanawaga, Corporate Communications Officer at the TMI Show Community College. Today's program, we have a very important guest with us. She is Mrs. Cyndica Charles, and she is the Assistant Registrar for Admissions. A very important person at the college, as well as she's not new to our program. So I want to welcome you, Mrs.
Thank you,
Charles.
Mrs. Awaga. It's good to be here again.
And we are happy to have you because TAM-CC on a yearly basis has an activity that's going to take place no matter what.
Yes.
In order for it to function as a college on a yearly basis, and that is admissions.
Yes, this is enrollment of students, applications, etc.
Exactly. Now, admissions for TAM-CC is a very important process, and it starts within the schools. And usually, you have almost an all year round kind of work in progress for the intake of the new
Yes.
students every year. I want you to give us a little insight on your 2018, 2019, well, the latter part of 2018 into 2019. What are some of the activities thus far that TAM-CC has undertaken to ensure that we have an increase in enrollment for 2019?
Right. So normally, what we do every year at in the first term, we do conduct school visits at the Form 3 levels so that students can have an understanding and appreciation for the programs, but most importantly, about linking your subjects with your career plan, your career goal, be it in the practical skills or the more academic skills. So this is something that we've been doing. And the second part is the visit with the Form 5. This is where these students are now making that educational leap. They have to start deciding what they're going to do after their secondary life has completed.
Right.
Right? And this is where we go into the schools and speak to them about our programs and our processes. They need to understand what our processes are and how do they get in. What's the process? What's the next step? What do you do to get into TAM-CC? So these are some of the things that we've been working on. And of course, in collaboration with you, Christina, we have also begun to do a videography of our programs, videography of just the college and the college life. So these are some of the things, and pretty soon, hopefully, we can be more visible in terms of what we do at the college, and people can see our wonderful products in Maribo and our students in classroom settings, etc. So I'm really looking forward to that.
That's right. We can take a little step back and go back to the Form 3 level. It's very important for our listeners who are parents, guardians, teachers, society educators, counselors, career guidance counselors, etc., to understand the important role that they play in ensuring that students are ready for not just the world of work, but for lifelong decisions. And from your end, I would like you to give us a little insight as to what you have experienced thus far as it relates to the Form 3 students specifically. Do you think that they are aware at that point what they would like to be in life? How do they get there? What are some of the preparations that they need to make within the secondary school that when they get to Form 5, they are ready? Because we can't wait until they are in Form 5.
No. And this is why we started, we took the initiative a few years ago to start at the Form 3, because what we realized is that students were coming, they were applying into the programs and they did not meet the academic requirements for the program. And you will hear students say all the time, I want to be a nurse, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a veterinarian, I want to go into architecture. Well, what are the subjects that you're writing that's going to allow you to get into that and make it at least easy for you to have that foundation to build and to grow? What we have noticed is that students when we start the Form 3, these students are currently in Form 5 right now, and some of them are very well aware of what the programs are and the requirements for those programs. So we've seen that change. Some students are waiting. They're not. It could be the parent style or parenting style or the home that they come from. They don't have a plan. Right. And this is quite unfortunate because as parents, you want to you don't want to push your children, but just lay out some type of expectation. But to guide them into, okay, this is what you want to do, and this is the process, this is a plan, step by step goals to allow them, or when they reach that level, they can master. And this is where parenting is important, because sometimes you have to have guidance for your children in terms of their career, what they want to do, and we cannot all be the same things. True. Right? We cannot all be the same things and do the same things. That's just not how life is. Right? So you have different levels. So whatever if it's in the skills area, let them do that. You see a child is very creative with their hands. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? If it's in electrical, heating, AC repair, whether or not it's to become a plumber, whatever it is, allow your child to blossom in that area. And they become expert a little bit more easier than somebody who doesn't know, because they already have that talent and to grow. But the Form 3 is a good place to start, because you do not want students to drop subjects that they may need for a particular career goal, right? And a lot of the times what happens to some students is that they don't like the teacher. So they drop the subject, even right. though they may have the ability to do it, right? And the faculty to perform, but whatever reason. So sometimes students need to be careful about those types of things, because it does affect you in the long run.
True. So you made quite a few important points there. One, selection of subjects takes place in Form 3.
In Form 2 going up to Form 3.
Right. So which means at that point, they would have to know what path they would like to take.
Yes. They should have some idea. I don't like to push to push the idea that you should know, because these are young people.
Right.
And you're young, you're not thinking about the future. Some students are very mature enough to kind of say, this is what I want to do, and do choose the right career path. But many students, they're young, they're free, their thought process is not into the future, it's more immediate.
Right.
And I think going into the school kind of pull them in or reel them in and say, I have a life after I finish secondary school.
Right.
This is where my plan, this is where I see myself. What do you see yourself doing? And this is where you kind of pull them in to kind of give them a little focus, so that they can really sit down and think, okay, what it is that I want to do? Where do I see myself? What am I really good at? And therefore make a decision.
Right. And I think that's why the courses are broad, in the sense of they are allowed to do 8 and over, because that kind of give them some form of leeway to switch at some point. But then you have some courses or some areas that they have an option. If they either want to do science or they want to do business, or they have to directly make the decision then whether that's what they want to do. So I think it's a excellent idea to start educating them at that level. It would be really beneficial if the parents and the teachers can also assist in that process, considering that the selection of subjects are since in Form 2. So still when we get there in Form 3, you still maybe a little bit late for some of them who were lost and didn't have an idea. I'm not sure what about picking up subjects after and these kind of things.
I can't speak to you on this.
Right.
On the
so it's a very important time in their lives that sometimes you wonder if they really understand what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's a time when parents can seek help if they are not sure of what is required of a child. If a child has a certain kind of passion or direction that they want to go, we now have the internet that's readily available. You can do primary research on the internet. You can also seek persons in the community who are within the same field to get some form of guidance as to what that child would require to do in order to prepare themselves for that field. And so I want parents, teachers alike, and also guardians to take it upon themselves to help the children, guide them as much as possible, not make a decision for them, because sometimes you make decisions for them. You tell them, oh, I want you to be a lawyer, I want you to be a doctor. We want to avoid that, because when they come into college, they seem to have a kind of laissez-faire attitude when they didn't get to do what they really want to do. It's more what their parents decided for them, and so they will not function to the best of their ability. So from our end, we would want to encourage you to please assist them along their passion. They would do much better if it's something they love.
They will excel.
Right, and they would spend more time in it, and they would be more interested in investigating it. Right, so that's at the Form 3 level. Why are we going back at the Form 5 level?
We're going back at the Form 5 level because whereas the Form 3 level most speaks to the students about the requirements and for programs and kind of guide them along in terms of career path. We talk about goals, we talk about careers. This is the Form 3 level. At the Form 5 level, we're not talking about those things because they already selected their subjects. You can't tell them, okay, you need to select that. But we do guide them in terms of our processes for application, in terms of enrolling, registration, the important dates, and to kind of explain some of the subject areas under the different programs for the students. And that is where students can ask questions about okay, if I want to do this, well, this is this. If I want to do, let's say, business, what are the subject areas that I should have? They should know that already, right. But it's just like a refresher for these students as well. Right. So this is why it's important that we go out in the schools and really do the refresher and, of course, our processes, because you don't want students to come in not knowing, just come in ad hoc and they're not sure what's going on. How do I apply? Is there any cost incurred, etc. So this is why we go back to the Form 5 to do the refresher and to also explain our process, right? When applications are going to be available, and of course we distribute our catalogs and application forms at the Form 5, so they have the information that they need in order to start the process.
Right. So while we are at that, I always often get a question that goes something like this. The students have not yet written their CXCs,
yes.
And why are we placing a deadline for the first submission April 30th when the students are only starting to do the exams in May? Tell us a little bit more about that, Mrs. Charles.
Wow, we get that all the time from students, and I understand their concern at the college. We do understand the concern that I have not yet I haven't passed my subjects as yet, and why are you asking me to submit their application? No, there are administrative ties to an application. There are things that we need to do at the admissions office at the college level that will facilitate the process for registration. We cannot do everything we cannot do registration and application at the same time, because this means that classes and school will start extremely late if we wait for persons to submit their application during registration time. It's just not administratively possible to do that, right? And the resources that we have limits us from doing that. Right. So this is where we have the application deadline earlier so that we can facilitate the application process. We have to enter those applications manually and into our system. So all of those things take time. We have to generate a letter for the students that take time. So hence we have the application at that period. And this is not unique to the college. If you do your research, you will realize that with colleges and universities, you apply before.
Of course.
Right? You apply, you have a deadline prior to, so it's not unique to TAMCC.
That's right. And when persons have to apply for, let's say, for example, scholarships to travel and to go to other universities or other colleges, usually those deadlines are since in March,
Yes.
April, they're about
Yes.
for an August or September
Yes.
start. So it's nothing new. It's just that sometimes when things are ours, we tend to treat it a little bit different,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
because it's local. But what we want persons to get used to is that we need to start preparing our students for that world that they are
Right.
going to get into. We want them to be aware of what the regular processes are, so nothing takes them by surprise, right?
Mhm.
So they have to be prepared. Now, yes, you pay a non-refundable fee,
Yes.
application fee for TAM CC when you submit your application, but you want to ensure that as a student you work as hard as possible.
Work smart.
Right. Smart.
Smart.
Smart, but at the same time, I still say hard in the sense of you going to pass your subjects, not to fail. Your intention is not to fail. Your intention is to pass. And your intention is to have those subjects that are required for entry. And so you do whatever it takes, whether you have to do extra classes, whether you have to do remedial work, whether you need to get a study partner, whatever is required to ensure that you have those 5 CXCs, including English minimum, to get into the program that you want to get into. And depending on what program, you may need mathematics, you may need the foreign languages if you want to get into modern languages, you may need sciences.
Yes.
So you will have to know what your requirements are.
And I would just like to point out that we do have, besides our associate degree, which requires 5 in terms of minimum requirements and English, and for some of the programs you are required to have specific CSEC requirements. I just want to point out the other certification and area levels that we have. We do have the certificate level 2 in the area of automotive service technology and building trades and services, and not to mention the number of subjects that we have under the technical diploma area, right, which leads to competency and the CVQ qualification. Right, so I just want to point out that yes, we have our associate degree, which requires 5, but we also have different areas, and they also have different requirements for some of these areas.
Right, and while we're on that, we want persons to also note that TAM CC is not only for secondary school students entry. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right, I think this is a subject area that needs to be addressed, because TAM CC is open to everybody. Once you're 16 years and over, you can apply. We don't have an age limit in terms of you're 35 and you cannot apply, or 65 or you cannot apply.
Right.
We're all open to education, right? We're ever learning. The process is, you want to improve yourself, improve your skills, you can apply.
Right.
It's not only for post-secondary school students. You can apply at any age. You're 25, you want to improve on your area, you've been probably working in a particular area in business and you don't have your qualification, you can come back to the college, improve your skills, and apply and get through with the program and just increase your knowledge and your competency in that area.
That's right. And I want persons to also understand that our motto is that we take you from where you are to where you want to go. That does not mean that you have to have CXCs, or if you don't have CXCs, you cannot come to TAM CC. There's a reason why we have 3 schools, right?
Which caters for different areas,
right, and different levels, and which means that if you are within a workspace and you have been working for, let's say, over 6 years, and you have experience within the workplace.
Yes.
Do we have a space for persons like that?
Yes, we have what we call the mature entry routes, where persons may not have the academic qualifications, but they do have experience and they've been working in that field for a number of years. We do take those things into consideration, and especially if the persons have training certification, they probably done little training here there, then we take all of those things into consideration. But this decision in particular is done by our academic board, because they need to review, make sure that the experience we can take in that person, etc.
Right, so which means that it's not the end of the world if you did not have CSEC subjects.
Right.
Or there are persons who would not have completed secondary school. We also have an area for them, right?
Yes, this is in the School of Continuing Education. They may have dropped out. We do have the technical. I would like to highlight the technical diploma programs, and these are practical learning skills that students can, if you don't have the academic 5, to do an associate degree, but you still want to learn something, you still want that skill, you're very good at maybe putting together pipes or whatever, and you want to do plumbing, you can still come to the college to do that.
Right, and we have things like cake decorating. We also have special programs.
Yes.
Where we have the business community collaborating
Right.
with TAMCC to offer special programs. I think what is important is that you know your interest and you make your interest known. We have forms at the School of Continuing Education where you can go fill out, state your interest, and when there's an area that comes up for you, you would be called and the guidelines will be explained to you.
Right.
Now, if we have a cohort of, let's say, 10 persons or more interested in the same thing, then a course would just automatically be created for you. They would find a lecturer and organize the program for you once you are interested. So do not just look at our catalog. Do not just look at what we offer and say, oh, well, TAMCC doesn't offer this. If you state your interest, there might just be quite a few other persons who have the same interest as you. And so it would be very good if you can state your interest so that you can, there's some arrangements can be made. One of the other things that we want persons to understand is we also do workplace presentations. And what does that mean? Our workplace is interested in having some form of training in some area. You can contact TAMCC and find out how can your staff be trained in a specific area. So we have trainings, we have certificate levels, we have associate degrees, we have quite a few different levels at which you can come into TAMCC and be qualified or trained in a different area. So we want persons to note all of these things when you are considering improving yourself professionally in the world of work, or even just wanting to learn a skill. It's okay to be able to do two things.
Yes.
You can be working in one place and you might be just making cakes.
Yes.
You might be just sewing.
Yes.
We have
fashion and design
program. We also have
electrical installation, motor vehicle engine systems, and those programs are in St. Patrick's. But we do have our own technical diploma programs at the college, at Tanting campus as well.
That's right. Now let us look at the application process now. Now, do you just apply and you start today? What really happened?
No, you don't do that. You can't do that. What we do, we have our application, and application is now open. So anybody who's interested in applying to the college for the August semester, they can collect an application at the admissions office, or they can download and print one off of our website. When you get your application, it's important that you submit a copy of your bud paper. It's very important. We need to know what your name is, how to spell it properly. So you need to do that. If you have your CSEC qualification or your CSEC slip, you submit a copy of that as well. Certified, right? And then you submit. Once you submit, in June, we distribute our acknowledgement letter. We start from the 24th, we end at the 28th, but once the letter is printed, you come in after that. But that's the period in which we start. You come in to collect your acknowledgement letter. And then on the 19th of August, we begin our registration process. Right? So the letter will outline where you need to go if you have an interview, your tuition costs, what you need to know will be included in that letter. So when you come in August, you already know where you're going, what time we start, etc.
Okay, and
So
that is related to the associate degree programs. But we also want persons to know that they can apply other times for the other certificate
well,
levels.
once we not only the associate degree programs, all of our programs begin in after registration. So that's a week after registration. I'm not sure what date is that. So we start that time in terms of registration, and once I want to be very careful here because most of our programs begin in August,
Right.
right? And that is when we want to start most of our programs. However, there are certain programs you can apply in the January. For example, the part-time programs you can apply for the January period,
Right.
right? But most of our full-time programs begin in
In
August.
August,
Mhm.
right. So we also want persons to also know that there are new programs that may come on stream that you would want to find out about. I'm sure you would have heard about our music
Production.
production course. That is another area that I think culturally a lot of persons within our community are into music, whether it be as a singer,
Just a production.
just producing music, or even as a musician. So don't just listen to the name of the program and think it's not for you as a singer. As a singer, it's important for you to understand sound, it's important for you to understand music waves, it's important for you to understand the mixing of music, timing, all of those things. And as a result of that, I think it would be a plus for you to come and be a part of that program. So you are part of a church group, you are part of whatever. I always try to advocate for people to be professionals in their field. Do not treat something mediocre because maybe you are not being paid for it, or maybe because it's just a social thing, or maybe because I'm just a part of this group and we just having fun. Whatever you do, always take pride in doing it. Try to improve yourself to be the best you in whatever you do. And it's not a matter of competition, it's not about competing with others, but it's about being the best you in whatever field, even in the church. We want to encourage that you be the best you. In addition to that, I want you to tell us a few dates, because I'm sure the people who are listening wants to know, okay, yes, application coming up, but what happens if I pass the date? When is the date? Things like
All
that.
right.
Where
So
do
the
I get that application form?
Right. So, application form, like I said, it's you can collect at the admissions office, and we do have application forms at the different campuses as well. So if you're in the St. Patrick's area, you can check the St. Patrick's campus, Maribor area, Maribor campus, and of course we have not yet targeted Carriacou, but we'll do that pretty soon, right? Application forms can be found on any of those campus sites as well as the website, right? So if you have a close to a computer and you can download and a printer, you can download from our website and print. So application deadline is the 30th of April,
Right.
right? At a cost of $50. Anything after the 30th, the cost would be $100, and that is considered late application fee. The next process, once you submit your application, the next process is to generate a letter for you. Some students use a letter to gain scholarship because people want to know that you've applied. So we do letters, and the letter is distributable. Start from the 24th of June,
Okay.
right? And then the last date that is very important is your registration date,
Right.
which begins on the 19th and we close off on the 23rd of August. Some students would have to do interviews, especially students going into the School of Applied Arts and Technology and the School of Continuing Education. For some students for the School of Arts, Sciences and Professional Studies, there are some programs that require students to do interviews. That is your pharmacy program, as well as your social work program and your teacher education program. You must conduct interviews, and those dates will be in the letter.
Right. Okay. Another thing that we want to make sure that persons are off is that they can apply, get accepted, and if they do not come in to register on time, those programs can be filled.
Yes.
Right.
And this is where we see a lot of students getting into programs that they really don't want to get into.
Right.
And they're not happy.
Right.
So I always encourage students, if you know what you're about, what you want, you apply on at least by the 30th of April. Because sometimes when you come during the week of registration, you may not get into the program of your choice, or the program may already be filled, especially in the School of Applied Arts and Technology and the School of Continuing Education. They have a set number that they're working with. They cannot take in everybody, and that's why you have to do the interviews, so that you can take in those that meet the requirements, but also you want the best for your program. So that's why you have to do the interviews. So it is important to apply by the 30th of April. And I understand that some parents and some students want to wait for the results to come out for them to start to begin the process. But just know that that is a disadvantage. You're going to incur long lines because you have other persons waiting as well, and you also have to remember that there's a letter that you would need for registration. That acknowledgement letter is also used for the registration process, and you need that letter. And therefore, because of the resources, there will be a delay in you going through the registration process and getting accepted.
Right. And then there's another part of it again. After they apply, they got the acceptance letter, they assume they're already in.
No.
So they travel and they do not take into consideration registration time. They come back after registration and they expect that the seat or the spot in that program is still there available waiting for them.
Right. We have to remember, we don't do acceptance letter. What we do is an acknowledgement letter.
Right.
So even if you have your subjects, and so we don't do acceptance as it is now.
Right.
This may soon change.
Right.
Most of our acceptance occurs during registration.
Right.
So even if you submit your application early, but if you're not here, because remember the letter has everything that you need to know regarding registration. So it is really your responsibility to ensure that you know which dates you have to be there for and come back by that time. So I always advise persons who have applied and you're traveling, try to be back before the registration. So if it's a Sunday night, Saturday before the Monday we start registration, try to be back before then.
Great. So I think we have exhausted most of the areas on application, but there's another thing that I want you to be aware of, viewers. We are trying to move our ICT into a certain kind of level. So at the moment, you yet cannot pay for your application on our website. That is coming hopefully very soon. You can also fill out your application on the website. There's an area at the right hand corner of the website that is labeled Apply Now. If you click on that area, you can also fill out your application there and submit, and the application would go to Mrs. Charles. If not, and you would like to print your application, there are two areas where you can go on the website, but specifically there's an area at the top, right, next to payments, that's called forms. When you scroll down, you would see one of those forms named application. You can click on that form and print it. It's in a PDF format. Or there is where you call admissions on the website, just below the slideshow of the pictures. You can click there as well and get your forms there. Now, there would be a lot of other information that you may need. You may not be a Grenadian national. You might be a CARICOM national, or you might be an international student. Mm-hmm. We also have information there under the admissions page where you can get all your requirements there. The cost is not the same, so it's very important for you to know how much does it cost if you are carrying a different birth paper or a different passport, or you do not have Grenadian citizenship.
Yes. All of those things, you've said it.
Right.
There is a different cost for nationals and CARICOM. If your parents are Grenadian, naturally you are Grenadian as well. And in that case, we ask students to submit their birth paper, or if they have a Grenadian passport, just submit the passport. If they don't, you submit your birth paper, and of course your parents. Once they're national of Grenada, mother or father, you submit a copy of their birth paper.
Right. So you see, there's quite a lot to know and understand about the process. So it's very important that you start early, you do your little research. We also have a program catalog, which can be found either under the quick links section on the website or on the same admissions page. You might be saying, then what is the website? It is tamcc.edu.gd. Go on the website, familiarize yourself, make yourself known of the information there, and ensure that you are aware of what is happening. We really, really want persons to continue to follow our Facebook page. We try to post as much as possible updates there. Please like our page on Facebook. It's TA Marisha Community College, and you will get as much updates as possible there. So you have both Facebook and the website to get information from the tip of your fingers, or easy access. We have a few other little things that I want to share with you, but before I do so, anything else as it relates to application?
No, we hope to receive person's application at least by the 30th of April, and just apply early. Get it out of the way, get your letter in hand, and so it's just easy, and the process will be so much easier for you when you do those things early, so that during registration all you have to do is just either go to your interview for those that have to conduct interview, or get you to meet your academic advisor. They'll give you your courses, you pay, and then you get your class schedule in hand, and then you're finished.
Awesome. So TAMCC is not all about academics. So here we are. There are activities that are coming up. We want you to look up our website to hear about our sporting activities that are coming up. We have everything else that secondary schools have. We have cross country, we have road relay, we have sports, we have all of these things. And we want persons to understand that when you come to TAMCC, you want to also have fun. You also want to find a way of detoxing and relaxing the mind so that you can perform better. So we want you to encourage the students to be a part of those activities. Let them have fun. We have cheerleading competition coming up, all of these things, and we want them to be a part of it and to fully support it. You as a community, you are invited. So please look on our website or on the Facebook page, see the dates, see what is coming up, and be a part of it. Now, there's something very important that's coming up as well. We always have the Windward Islands debating competition. And from the time it started, it was hosted in all of the different islands. This year is going to be Grenada, and TAMCC is going to be taking part in that Windward Island debating competition again. And that competition would be on March 1st. So we want persons to look up the information, find out, how you can be there to support, just know what's happening. We're hoping that it would be live on TV so that we can have persons view it and be a part of it and follow it even on their phones. And so in addition to that, we also have a cruise that's coming up on March 1st in the evening. And if you want to be a part of TAMCC Cruise, you can call and get more information at the Student Affairs. You can call and ask for Mrs. Cole Alexander John. She's the activities coordinator, and her extension is 2249, so 440-1389, 2249, and she would be able to give you additional information as to cost and all these things. Now, I'm understanding that the tickets are going very quickly, so if you really want to be on that cruise, you know what to do. Call and find out how can you get a ticket. In addition to that, we also want persons to support our sporting activity on March 16th. We really want everyone to be there to support, and we are inviting you to come out. So I want to thank you for viewing our program today. Our program was very informative. We can keep going and going and going with all of the activities we have, all of the programs we have, but it would not be beneficial to you. I think what was most important in today's program was the process of application, knowing that the deadline is April 30th, for the first application before any penalties. There is a reason for that. We want you to note that there is a space issue, and if you really want to be a part of a program, you want to ensure that you block your spot by making sure that you apply early, and also ensuring that you are there on time for registration for whatever section you need to register for. I want to thank you, Mrs. Charles, for being on our
Thank you,
program
Mrs.
today.
Awada.
Thank you, viewers, for viewing, and any further information that you would like to find out from TAMCC, please do not hesitate to call 440-1389. You can ask for Mrs. Charles, or you can dial extension 2250 and you can get much more information from Mrs. Charles, as well as any other department within the School of TAMCC. And I have to say the School of TAMCC because we have 3 different schools. So it is important for you to call that general extension number, and they would be able to guide you based on your needs and interests as to which school and who do you speak with. So we want to thank you for being patient listening to our program today. I am Christina Swanawaga, Corporate Communications Officer at the T.A. Marisha Community College, and we hope to see you there. See you soon.